April 11th, 1945. Twilight descends over the Rhine River's eastern banks near the battered town of Kehl, Germany. General George S. Patton stands before a cluster of Third Army staff officers, his face etched with fury under the dim glow of field lanterns. Maps sprawl across a makeshift table marked with aggressive arrows thrusting deep into the heart of the Reich. Just hours earlier, Eisenhower's directive had arrived by teletype. Halt the advance, consolidate lines, adhere to the broad front strategy. Patton crumples the paper in his gloved fist. "This is madness," he snarls, voice cutting through the chill spring air. "The krauts are crumbling, and Ike wants us to sit like schoolboys?" His demand echoes across the command post, a plea turned ultimatum for fuel, trucks, and autonomy to race for Berlin, to crush the enemy before Soviet shadows lengthen over the ruins. Eisenhower, supreme commander, embodies caution forged in the fires of Normandy's near disasters. No more risks of encirclement, no elongated supply lines inviting ambush. Patton, the warrior of relentless drives from Sicily to Bastogne, sees betrayal in restraint. Pride swells in his chest. He has shed blood for every mile. His divisions, over 300,000 men, 2,000 tanks, poised to end the war in weeks. Yet Eisenhower's order binds them. The clash ignites not over tactics alone, but egos. Patton's unbridled ambition versus Ike's calculated command. In this moment, as stars pierce the smoke-hazed sky, Patton dictates a blistering reply, fingers pounding the typewriter. The cable flies westward to SHAEF headquarters in Reims. "Give me the goddamn resources or relieve me now." The fuse is lit. Obedience or rupture, there will be no middle ground. By early April 1945, the Third Reich teetered on collapse. Allied forces had breached the Rhine on March 22 at Remagen, capturing the Ludendorff Bridge intact, a prize Patton's scouts had eyed hungrily. His Third Army surged across, liberating 400 square miles daily, capturing 26,000 Germans in a single week near Frankfurt. From the Hürtgen Forest's meat grinder to the Bulge's frozen hell, Patton had proven his mettle. 1.2 million enemy prisoners since Normandy, more than any other commander. Eisenhower, however, commanded the grand design. Appointed Supreme Allied Commander in 1943, he balanced American bravado with British prudence and French ambitions. His broad front policy, advancing on multiple axes to dilute German reserves, had secured victory without the perils of single-thrust gambles. Overstretched logistics haunted him. Allied supply lines stretched 300 miles from Antwerp, fuel rationed to 400,000 gallons daily across 90 divisions. Patton's spearheads burned through 500 gallons per mile. Unchecked, they risked isolation amid the Ruhr's industrial traps. Patton's frustration brewed for months. In late March, as Montgomery dawdled northward, Patton cabled Eisenhower, "I have been told to stop twice before. Give me the green light." Ike refused, prioritizing the Ruhr pocket, Germany's industrial heart, encircled by April 1 with 300,000 trapped Wehrmacht troops. Stakes towered, military triumph intertwined with political shadows. Roosevelt's Yalta Accords ceded Eastern Europe to Stalin. A dash to Berlin might claim the symbolic prize, thwarting Soviet dominance. Patton fumed privately to his diary. "We are conducting this war as if it were a football game with a referee." Eisenhower. Eisenhower viewed Patton as indispensable yet incendiary. The man who slapped shell-shocked soldiers in Sicily, incidents hushed by Bradley and Ike, embodied raw power untamed. Personal bonds strained under pressure. Both West Pointers, class of 1909 and 1915, forged in Pershing's punitive expedition. Yet Ike bore the weight of coalition command, fending off Montgomery's ego and de Gaulle's barbs. Patton's demands now threatened cohesion. Relieving him mid-victory would fracture morale, handing propaganda to Goebbels. The central conflict crystallized. Patton's vision of lightning war, ego-driven to etch his name in eternity, clashed with Eisenhower's iron discipline. Resources were finite. Patton's 18 divisions vied with Bradley's 12th Army Group. Political cables from Washington urged caution. Military intelligence warned of fanatical SS holdouts, potential 50,000 casualties in Berlin's rubble. As April deepened, the Rhine's floodwaters receded, but tensions swelled. Patton positioned his XX Corps for a breakout toward Chemnitz, eyeing Prague. Eisenhower's halt order arrived like a guillotine. No figure loomed larger. Patton, the conqueror, Ike, the architect. Their rift would test the alliance's sinews. Tensions erupted in a cascade of cables and confrontations through mid-April. On April 12th, as Patton's armored columns idled 200 miles from Berlin, he unleashed a barrage from his forward HQ at Merkers. "My men can take Berlin in 48 hours with proper support," his message to Eisenhower blared, laced with contempt for the halt that squandered momentum. Scouts reported Berlin's defenses cracking, Goebbels evacuating bunkers, Himmler's SS fleeing west. Patton smelled blood, demanding 50,000 gallons of fuel and priority rail lines, bypassing SHAEF allocations. Eisenhower's reply from Reims crackled back the same day, stern and unyielding. "Your proposal is militarily unsound. Supply lines cannot sustain it. Obey orders or face relief." Ike's staff seethed. Bradley, Patton's patron, urged restraint in a private call. "George, you're pushing the Supreme Commander too far." Yet Patton doubled down. On April 14th, he ordered probing attacks toward the Elbe River, capturing Dessau against directives, 500 Germans killed, 2,000 prisoners, but at the cost of 20 Shermans bogged in mud. Soviet reactions filtered through intelligence. Zhukov's first Belarusian front hammered Berlin from the east, 2.5 million troops versus the Allies' cautious probe. Stalin crowed in cables to Roosevelt, "Your hesitation gifts us the Reich." Patton intercepted whispers, raging to aid General Gay, Ike's playing politics with American blood. Diary entries captured his venom. Eisenhower is a number 7 man, good administrator, poor general. History will judge. From SHAEF, pressure mounted. Montgomery, sensing opportunity, lobbied for his 21st Army Group to swing south, while French forces under de Gaulle clamored for the Stuttgart bridgehead. Eisenhower convened Bradley on April 15th. Patton's insubordination ends now. A peremptory order followed. Halt all advances east of the Mulde River. Consolidate for Ruhr mop-up. Casualties mounted in defiance. Third Army skirmishes claimed 1,100 GIs in futile thrusts. Ultimatums sharpened. Patton wired back on April 16th, eve of the critical Elbe crossing. "Relieve me if you must, but give my boys the chance to finish this." Eisenhower, sleepless in his map room, weighed the abyss. Relieving Patton mid-campaign would shatter 12th Army Group morale, invite congressional probes, and empower rivals. Yet indulgence risked disaster. Logistics reports screamed collapse. Fuel depots empty. 40% of trucks sidelined. Reactions fractured the high command. Omar Bradley penned a cautionary note. "George is a genius, but geniuses must be leashed." Churchill telegraphed veiled warnings from London. "Beware the bear's advance." Patton's corps commanders wavered. Hodges loyal to Ipe, but Milliken urged a push. The point of no return loomed. One more unauthorized mile, and courts-martial beckoned. Pride clashed with duty.
Cables flew like artillery shells. By dusk, April 17th, as Patton's tanks revved idly, the rift gaped wide. Ambition versus strategy, friend versus superior. Retreat was impossible, collision inevitable.
April 18, 1945. Dawn breaks gray over SHAEF headquarters in Rheims Redoubt Schoolhouse. Eisenhower, sleeves rolled, pores over the latest flimsy. Patton's tanks have forded the Mulde, 50 miles closer to Berlin, ignoring the halt line. Fuel caches plundered from divisional reserves. Scouts report Soviet vanguards just 20 miles east. The Supreme Commander's face hardens. Insubordination transmutes to crisis. He summons Bradley by secure line. Omar, it's over. George forces my hand. The irreversible choice crystallizes. Confront and leash Patton or yield to chaos. Emotional toll weighs heavy. Ike recalls Patton's rescue at Bastogne, the backslap forgiven in Sicily's haze. Yet strategy demands sacrifice. Political cables from Truman, Roosevelt dead 5 days prior, insist no Berlin lunge. Yalta's spheres solidify. Militarily, projections chill. 10,000 casualties projected for urban assault. Supply lines severed by Luftwaffe remnants or partisan sabotage. Eisenhower dictates the cable, voice steady. Cease all offensive operations immediately. Withdraw to assigned zones. Further disobedience mandates relief. No alternative exists. Indulgence invites Montgomery's triumph, Soviet monopoly, Allied fracture. Patton receives it at 1100 hours amid his forward CP near Leipzig. Staff freeze as he reads aloud, then erupts. That chair-borne general dares? Strategic cost bites. His army, 250,000 combat effective, idles as glory slips. Personal pride shatters. Relief means obscurity, legacy as a loose cannon.
He paces, cigar clenched, weighing mutiny's abyss. Corps reports confirm. Elbe bridges are viable, but ammo dwindles to 48 hours. Reluctantly, he orders a pullback. Tanks grinding reverse, infantry cursing under rain-lashed skies. The decision exacts its price. 300 GIs dead in the probe, morale fracturing. Eisenhower, alone later, confides to aide Butcher, "I lost a friend today to save the army." Patton's reply arrives terse. Orders complied, but history will not forgive this. No turning back. The leash tightens. Ambition bows to authority. This clash, Patton reigned at victory's cusp, seals fates unwound only by total war's logic.
Immediate consequences rippled like shockwaves. By April 22, Patton's Third Army executed the humiliating withdrawal, ceding 1,500 square miles to Soviet grasp. Tanks churned mud westward, abandoning intact bridges over the Elbe. 50,000 German prisoners were released in haste. Casualties tallied 1,800 since the halt, pointless in retrospect. Morale plummeted. GIs scrawled graffiti. Ike stopped us at the goal line. Power dynamics shifted irrevocably. Eisenhower solidified unchallenged command, his broad front enveloping the Ruhr by May 2. 317,000 Germans surrendered. Factories were razed. Patton, sidelines to Bavaria's occupation, chafed under milk runs, his diary venomous. Eisenhower played it safe for his stars. Montgomery's northern thrust faltered, but Ike's caution averted logistics Armageddon. No Bastogne redux amid fuel famine. Contemporaries recoiled and rejoiced. Bradley mediated, confiding to aides. George was right tactically, wrong strategically. Churchill lamented in Parliament, "We could have spared Europe the red shadow." Stalin toasted in the Reichstag on May 2, his forces claiming Berlin's ruins. 81,000 Soviet dead, but the prize unchallenged. Truman, briefed in Potsdam, endorsed Eich. No needless blood for symbols.
Patton nursed grudges into peacetime, relieved later for denazification gaffes, dying in a December Jeep crash, whispers of sabotage unproven. Eisenhower ascended, NATO commander, then president, his memoir framing the halt as wisdom. Beyond individuals, this moment shattered illusions of total Allied unity. Patton's curb marked the war's pivot from military crusade to geopolitical chess. Berlin bypassed, not seized, birthing the Iron Curtain. Europe cleaved. Western zones birthed NATO. Eastern satellites the Warsaw Pact. The Cold War dawned not in rubble blasts, but in supply ledgers and ego clashes. Yalta's ink dried in bloodless restraint. 45 years of division followed, from Berlin Wall to 1989's fall. Patton's rage encapsulated human frailty, ambition's fire quenched by caution's flood. Empires end not in thunderous charges, but in teletyped halts. This could not be undone. Strategy triumphed over glory, reshaping continents.